And of course, I would say recent scandals even alleviated this debate when there is products that are really outrageous, illegal, or child looking like sex dolls being sold online. We have a deep problem in the European Union, and we don't manage as EU to really make sure that the rules are enforced properly. So I think it's very important that we have this debate today. I'm also very happy that the Commission is here, like usually with two DGs from DG Senect and DG Grow. But I'm also very happy that I can welcome Shein's representative here in the EU, Ms. Yinan Zhu, from Shein's Business Integrity Group for Greater Europe, because of course it is also important to directly exchange with the companies and see what kind of due diligence processes the companies really have in place. So thanks for coming here today. We first hear the Commission, then we hear Shein, and then we hear every one of you, so all the members who want to speak. Please signal it to the Secretariat, because I cannot write down and moderate at the same time. Then we have hopefully a very good and output-oriented discussion. So I start and give the floor to the Commission, and I welcome Rita Wesenbeck, Director for Online Platforms from DG Senect, of course, a well-known guest in our committee.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you very much for inviting us again at a very timely moment in all the work that we're doing with respect to e-commerce. So, as you know, we recognize the rapid growth of e-commerce, and we also recognize that it doesn't only bring benefits, but also certain heavy challenges on our societies. So the number of low-value parcels has skyrocketed, and that presents issues on consumer safety, environmental impact, and fair competition. And also this whole flood of non-compliant products have created strains on regulatory authorities and offered unfair advantages. So this is why, as you are well aware, in this committee, we have initiated regulatory actions against online marketplaces such as Temu, AliExpress and Shein under the DSA. So we have already opened proceedings with respect to Temu and Shein. Sorry, we have opened procedures with respect to Temu and AliExpress, and the procedures are both well underway. In AliExpress, we accepted already commitments and we issued preliminary findings. In Temu, we issued preliminary findings, and other strands of the case are still continuing. So I think today we are giving special attention to Shein, who I understand is also present in the room. So with respect to Shein, we have sent already some time ago a request for information, but also after the events of beginning November, where these what is called pornopedographic dolls were found, certain weapons were found, and certain medication, we have sent a specific RFI, request for information, requesting information about these events and also the actions that Shein took to address the issues. We have since then had an exchange with Shein on their replies and also asking further clarification. So that means that with respect to Shein, we're now in the process of assessing the replies. We're assessing the events and the evidence together with the digital services coordinators, and we are finalizing this assessment in order to be able to advise our EVP, Mrs. Virkkunen, whether or not to open proceedings. This decision has not yet been taken, so we are now in the process of analyzing and advising. In this context, it is important to signal that we are also working closely together with the Commission Amman. This is the Irish Digital Services Coordinator, who already had an informal investigation with respect to Shein, and we are exchanging information and evidence and carefully comparing notes also with respect to who does what, and indeed this question whether proceedings should be opened or not. So it's also good to signal today our colleagues of DG Just are not there, but that they also have a CPC action against Shein. I think that was also mentioned last time that we met in this committee. So in May 2025, the CPC network informed Shein of a number of practices that, according to the network, infringe consumer law, and they include elements like fake discounts, pressure selling, missing, incorrect and misleading information, and also deceptive product labels, misleading sustainability claims, and hidden contact details. So Shein replied to this network's findings in July, and since then the CPC network is assessing the response and also identifying how to address the issues that are identified by the network. So the two investigations are fully complementary, but indeed we have strict instructions in DG Connect by our EVP who just spoke to address this investigation with urgency and with priority. That is what we are doing. So you're probably also very well aware that in the meantime, the DGCCRF, the French Market Authority, took action with respect to Shein. I think that the representatives of Shein will probably also enlighten you on what happened. For now, these actions are put on hold, also taking into consideration the actions that Shein took after the events of beginning November, which we are also carefully analyzing. They will probably also tell you about the fact that the French government started proceedings against them to ask for a temporary ban on the whole marketplace. And in this case, a judgment was rendered by the Court of Paris on the 19th of December. And actually, this is a judgment that is rendered on the basis of primarily national law, but there are a lot of factual elements and also legal elements that we can recognize very much in the assessment of whether interim measures are justified or not. In this case, the Paris Court, weighing all the elements, thought that a temporary ban of Shein would be disproportional. I leave it to the Shein representatives to enlighten you on that, but I'm happy to clarify further what is their assessment, also looking at what is our assessment with respect to that. So the final thing that I want to signal, also not to overstep the time, is that as the EVP was signaling also to you, we have the guidelines on the protection of minors that were issued in July. In the context of the question whether the online platforms that fall under our supervision are complying with those guidelines, we have a series of workshops. And we started in December with a workshop with respect to online marketplaces. Also, Shein was invited there. And the online marketplaces, in a secluded environment, so it was not an open workshop, exchange information on the measures that they were taking, also in order to protect the products that were not intended to be seen by minors on their platforms against access by minors. So we are taking into account what they have said, and also, I mean, the exchanges there and the information given are taken into account in the assessment of whether or not we will open proceedings in this case. So this is what I wanted to share with you today.
Thank you so much. And if I'm correctly informed, the colleague from DG Grow will also speak. And I welcome Felicia Stoica, Head of Unit for Product Safety. Hi.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Glad to be here again. Thanks for inviting us. So, on what concerns market surveillance and enforcement of product compliance, this European Parliament has sent a very clear signal on e-commerce. During the plenary debate on e-commerce, on the report on safety and regulatory compliance, all political groups acknowledged the urgency of tackling the influx of unsafe, low-value imports, mainly coming from China. There is a clear and broad agreement on this point. Online and offline sales must be subject to the same basic rules. What does not work today? The Parliament has rightly identified several structural weaknesses. First, accountability remains uneven. There are too many non-EU sellers that are untraceable or unaccountable. The information on EU-based representative of the foreign economic operator, the so-called authorized representative, is often missing or false, making enforcement and consumer redress almost impossible. Second, non-compliance is not always one-off. The same type of illegal or unsafe products can reappear online even after they are flagged for corrective measures by market surveillance authorities. The corrective measures are not applied consistently or systematically enough by the platforms. Third, detection does not yet match the scale of the online sales. Illegal and unsafe products are sold online in massive volumes, while enforcement checks remains still fragmented and limited. The capacity and coordination is essential, and Parliament rightly underlines that enforcement is not failing only because of gaps in rules, but moreover because of gaps in capacity. National authorities are dealing with high and very high volumes of products, limited staff, fragmented data, but also complex supply chains. Without better cooperation and coordination, but also modern tools, enforcement will always lag behind market developments. So what is the Commission doing right now? We fully share this diagnosis. The market surveillance regulation already gave powers to national authorities for enforcement product compliance rule, including ordering, for example, online marketplaces to remove illegal content, and only as a last resort, if the corrective measures have not been implemented appropriately, then the market surveillance authorities can block access where serious risks are still present. On a short term, we are focusing on making existing rules work on the ground, so we are concentrating on more coordinated enforcement actions, including focusing on high-risk products that are sold online. We are focusing on better information sharing across the authorities to reduce this fragmentation I was mentioning before. We are trying to turn our digital system for sharing information between market surveillance authorities and the Commission into a single entry database for non-compliant product at EU level. And thirdly, we are concentrating on stronger use of digital detection tools. We have rolled out the web crawler, but also a verification tool for documentation of product compliance that help market surveillance authorities. Now, looking ahead without preempting on the reform that we are working on with revising market surveillance regulation as part of the European Product Act, our objective and ambition is to address all these enforcement gaps that are linked to online sales and imports from third countries, building on the Parliament call for clear accountability for products sold to the EU consumer, and here we are thinking about reinforcing the measures, the tasks and responsibilities of the authorized representative of a third country economic operator placing products on the EU market. We are looking into creating more stronger and systematic enforcement, better use of digital tools, but also a deeper EU-level coordination. The public consultations on the revision of market surveillance regulation are ongoing. The targeted consultations will be launched very soon with a complementary set of interviews that will come next. On this revision, just to reassure all of you, are working closely with colleagues from DG Connect, from DG Just, and DG Taxud to make sure that we align digital consumer customs and market surveillance enforcement. Just to close my intervention, reiterating that yes, Parliament has asked for tougher, better resources and more systematic enforcement, and is our shared objective to and non-negotiable that products sold in Europe, online or offline, EU or non-EU, must comply with the European rules. On this objective, we are fully aligned and we count on your support moving forward.
Thank you very much. And as announced at the beginning, I would like now to give the floor to Ms. Yinan Zhu, Shein's representative. And again, good that it works out now. We had invited you before where it didn't work out, but happy that you're here. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and honourable members. My name is Yinan Zhu. I'm the head of Business Integrity Team and also the General Counsel for Greater Europe at Shein. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before the IMCO committee today. One of the core values of Shein is customer first. Therefore, consumer trust, product safety, and compliance are top priorities for Shein. We welcome the attention being given to these issues in the e-commerce industry and appreciate the opportunity for constructive and transparent engagement with the members of the European Parliament, as it has been with the European Commission. These dialogues help us to identify and implement solutions that achieve our shared objective of delivering a safe, reliable, and trustworthy shopping experience for European consumers. I'm glad to be here today, which is the first moment where we can make a meaningful contribution to these important discussions. At the time of previous invitation, as Madam Chair pointed out, which were within days of the launch of the relevant regulatory and legal proceedings, we would not have been able to answer your questions perhaps as comprehensively as we could today. We informed the IMCO Secretariat and also the Chair at the time and expressed our sincere apologies and our willingness to engage at a later stage. I'm glad we now have the opportunity to participate today in the spirit of transparency and constructive cooperation. For the benefit of everybody, please just allow me a brief moment to introduce the company. Shein was founded in 2012 with the mission of making the beauty of fashion accessible to all. Today, we serve customers in over 160 countries. Europe is a key region for us, and our local footprint continues to grow. In 2023, a study by Oxford Economics found that Shein already plays a tangible role in advancing EU's digital retail economy. Across just 3 member states, France, Italy, and Poland, Shein contributed 1.1 billion euros to GDP and supported over 6,000 jobs across logistics, business services, and retail. Beyond the economic impact, we also actively invest in Europe's artists, brands, and designers through incubator and accelerator program. And we supported thousands of aspiring designers and artists, many of them European, who were able to access the global market through the Shein platform. Our operations in the region include our EMEA headquarters in Ireland and offices in Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and the UK. We also have a major logistics hub in Poland, and together supporting more than 5,000 jobs. It is important to highlight that different to many other platforms, we have a hybrid model. We have always been a fashion retailer, selling our own branded products directly to consumer, but more recently, we launched the marketplace in late 2023, where third-party brands and sellers can offer their products via our platform, including thousands of European local businesses. Whilst we're actively growing our European seller base, a large majority of our business is still fashion retail. From our own fashion products, we operate an agile, on-demand production model. And that's different from the traditional production-based one. And often there is a misconception that we're just a faster version of the traditional fashion model. In fact, fundamentally, we're different through innovation. We initially only produce a small batch of 100 to 200 pieces, and we scale production in response to consumer demand. This model helps to keep the Shein unsold inventory at a consistently low single-digit level compared to the industry norm of between 25 to 40%. That helps to minimize waste at source and directly also address the key issue that's faced by the fashion industry. So we pass also on the resulting cost savings onto our customers. Our competitiveness is driven by this and digitalized supply chain that help us to reduce waste and maximize efficiency, not by compromising on compliance. Research shows European consumers shopping on e-commerce platforms are making deliberate choices that balance price, variety, convenience, and accessibility. As a market participant, we want to deliver safe products and affordable choices to European consumers, which leads me to the core issue of today's important discussion, compliance and product safety. I fully expect to discuss the issues in France, and I'll answer questions on that in the Q&A, and also to address Ms. Rosenberg mentioned earlier on any questions you may have about the proceedings to the extent I'm able to in light of the ongoing process. But at Shein, we do not compromise on safety and compliance, and the protection of minors is paramount. In our marketplace, all sellers are contractually bound by a comprehensive set of terms, policies, and strict seller code of conduct regarding their operations, product listing, and other safety requirements. Our compliance framework is multi-layered, and operates across the full life cycle of any product listing. It combines the seller verification, the pre-product listing checks, the post-listing monitoring and detection, and the reporting channels, and also seller enforcement, along with the governance through audits and grievance mechanisms. We have made significant investments in product safety testing, and we work with industry-leading independent third-party agencies to ensure products placed on the EU market comply with applicable EU laws. Where standards are breached, we act decisively and swiftly, including through fines, suspensions, and terminations. And we continue to strengthen our controls as new risks emerge. Compliance and respect to enforcement are central to how we operate in the EU. Our intention is clear. We're fully aligned with the EU's objectives in terms of bolstering customer trust and safety, and we are constantly working to strengthen how we deliver that in practice. Many of the issues we'll discuss today, safety, enforcement, consumer trust, and fair competition, are all sector-wide issues. It's therefore important that the committee has a full picture across the industry. I appreciate the opportunity to come here today to share Shein's perspective and on these topics today, but I also welcome the update that IMCO plans to hold additional hearings with other e-commerce platforms in the coming weeks. I hope this has been a helpful background, and I look forward to our further discussions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As announced at the beginning, we have now the opportunity for the members to ask questions and also express their views. We start with EPP, with Pablo Arias Echeverría.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm going to speak in Spanish. Bueno, yo lo primero que quiero hacer es agradecer a la Comisión que haya venido y nos haya explicado el tema, y también quiero agradecerle a Shein que esté presente. Muy a mi pesar, pues les voy a decir la verdad de lo que pienso, y la verdad de lo que pienso es que no esperaba mucho de su comparecencia hoy aquí y que estoy pues bastante indignado, porque yo soy una persona que he admirado y sigo admirando mucho las capacidades de una cultura milenaria como la suya, como la de su país, como la de China, y la capacidad que tiene. Y, sin embargo, cuando vemos cómo actúan en nuestro mercado, pues la verdad es que estoy bastante decepcionado. Usted ha dicho que para Shein lo primero es el cliente, y yo le voy a decir que lo primero en nuestro mercado es cumplir las normas, porque del cliente y de nuestros consumidores ya nos ocupamos nosotros. Usted lo que tiene que hacer es cumplir esas normas y, por tanto, no poner en riesgo la salud de las normas y de los usuarios que ya tenemos, de nuestros clientes. Insisto en que creo que pueden ustedes llegar a hacerlo, pero a día de hoy, sintiéndolo mucho, tengo que ser muy claro, y ustedes no están cumpliendo. Se inundan nuestras herramientas o plataformas de Internet en Europa con publicidad de productos que ustedes promocionan, que no cumplen con nuestras normas y que van en detrimento de nuestros productores europeos y de nuestros consumidores y de su seguridad. Y esto pasa cada vez que hay pues un Black Friday, una Navidad o, dentro de poco, cómo no, el Día de San Valentín. Y tampoco sabemos muy bien qué es lo que hacen con los datos de los usuarios, de nuestros ciudadanos, que ustedes recopilan, tanto los directos como los indirectos, como temas de gusto, edad, que ustedes pueden claramente sacar, nivel adquisitivo, raza o incluso localización, pero también la dirección, que son los directos, el correo electrónico, el teléfono o el método de pago, entre otros. Y, por tanto, no sabemos qué hacen porque no los controlamos. No los controlamos porque los sacan ustedes de nuestro territorio y de nuestro control. Y, por tanto, sinceramente, les agradezco, insisto, que estén aquí, pero me gustaría que cambiasen mucho las cosas, y les invito a que lo hagan por la seguridad de nuestros ciudadanos y, sobre todo, por las capacidades de Shein y de otras plataformas como la de ustedes. Gracias.
Sí, muchísimas gracias. Now for the S&D, Christel Schaldemose.
Thank you very much, Chair. Also, thanks to Shein for being here, even though, like my colleague who just spoke, that, I don't know if I don't think we got good answers. You're saying that you have comprehensive internal procedures for all your traders that they have to go through and in order to be able to trade on your platform. But apparently the goods coming into Europe is not compliant for the large part of it. Cosmetics, toys, etc. We see that there are a lot of content in it that is illegal or unhealthy or both. So since you have these procedures, what will you do to make them work? Because they are clearly not working today. And then for the European Commission, also thank you for coming here. You know that we have a huge interest and focus on this for good reasons, because we're quite fed up with the fact that our companies in Europe are put into what many of us see as unfair competition because they cannot compete with products that are not complying with European laws. I know that you put a lot of measures in place, but what you have done so far is primarily letting the taxpayers do the job, or at least pay for the job, because they're paying for the market surveillance. Shouldn't you do more to make the company responsible, Shein, pay for making sure that things are tackled? And then my last comment is it at all possible to consider liability for Shein in another way than what we have today? We tried it when we made the Digital Services Act. At that time, we had no majority for it, but at that time, it was back in 2020. A lot of member states did not see the same level of products coming in. So can we today do something about amending either the DSA on this or do more in terms of legislation, so that there is no discussion that Shein should be liable for the products they are selling in Europe, so that we have one place to go when we have to make sure that the law is complied with and consumers are kept safe? Thank you.
Mm-hmm. For Renew, Sandro Gossi.
Thank you, Chair. I heard customer first. Je passe au français. Ça veut dire que dans les modèles de Shein, les premiers à être arnaqués sont les consommateurs, on le sait bien. Parce que ce que nous avons vu, c'est des arnaques aux consommateurs exposées dans votre plateforme à des poupées pédophroniques, à des armes, à des pistolets. Donc moi, je ne suis pas, contrairement à notre collègue Pablo, déçu, parce que je n'avais aucune attente. Mais j'ai des questions à vous poser. La première, c'est que vous avez parlé des sanctions. Pour nous, les sanctions ne sont pas suffisantes. Les DSA vous engagent à prendre des mesures préventives pour éviter que sur votre plateforme, des produits légaux soient diffusés, soient proposés, pour assurer une véritable protection des consommateurs et une sécurité des produits. Quelles sont les mesures préventives que vous prenez avant que les produits soient mis sur le marché online? La deuxième question, c'est que toujours à la lumière du DSA, vous avez l'obligation de mitiger les risques, de réduire les risques et d'évaluer votre business model, votre modèle de business. Moi, je crois que les cycles de production ultra fast contribuent à la mise sur le marché des produits illégaux ou dangereux. Quelles sont les mesures concrètes que vous prenez pour modérer, pour mitiger, pour réduire ces risques que nous avons identifiés sur votre plateforme? Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Merci beaucoup. Now for the Greens, Saskia Brigmont.
Merci beaucoup. Merci, Madame la Présidente, pour cette audition, parce qu'on sait, je pense, du côté européen et du côté législatif, ce que nous avons à faire pour encadrer davantage les activités de plateformes comme Shein. Par contre, aujourd'hui, il s'agit bien d'entendre ce que Shein met en place, tant préventivement pour appliquer la loi existante, à laquelle elle contrevient de trop nombreuses fois déjà, et pour se conformer et s'adapter à nos exigences. En tout cas, je pense que vous connaissez nos lacunes. Vous les connaissez à tel point que vous en abusez et vous contournez le système, par exemple, aussi pour éviter de payer les taxes. D'où les petits paquets. Et on a enfin décidé de mettre en place une taxe sur les petits paquets qui impactera vos activités, mais allez-vous attendre que toutes les mesures qui sont annoncées soient en place pour vous conformer aux législations? S'il s'agissait du Parlement européen, en fait, vos activités auraient déjà été suspendues sur le territoire européen, en attendant que vous soyez en conformité avec nos législations. Vous avez finalement de la chance que la Commission européenne se repose sur son devoir d'enquête dans le cadre du DSA et n'ait pas encore décidé de suspendre vos activités en attendant que vous mettiez fin à vos pratiques abusives et illégales et tout simplement, en fait, interdites. On a parlé, et ça c'est connu, c'est un peu le top de l'iceberg, des poupées pédopornographiques, des armes qui sont vendues sur vos plateformes. Tôt ou tard, les règles vont changer sur le territoire européen. Donc, que mettez-vous en place? Je pense qu'on touche ici intrinsèquement à votre business model. Un business model qui doit en fait changer pour arrêter à la fois de piéger les consommateurs, les consommatrices que vous prétendez mettre au cœur de votre activité dans un modèle de surconsommation, d'influence toxique, de pratiques salariales et sociales qui sont, on peut le dire, catastrophiques pour les travailleurs tout au long de la chaîne. Un modèle qui tire vraiment vers le bas les normes sociales environnementales et qui sont clairement en contravention avec les règles qui sont appliquées et qui mettent directement en concurrence les commerces et les commerçants européens qui, eux, doivent se conformer et sont sujets à des sanctions immédiates, en fait, s'ils vendaient dans leurs boutiques des produits comme ceux que vous vendez sur vos plateformes.
Thank you.
Eh bien voilà, donc la question, je la répète une dernière fois, que mettez-vous en place pour prévenir et pour assurer votre conformité avec le DSA et pour vous adapter, parce que notre Assemblée prendra des mesures plus fortes si les changements ne se font pas rapidement voir sur le marché. Je vous remercie.
Thank you. For the left, Ms. Shaibi.
Bonjour, merci. Je suis heureuse que Shein daigne enfin venir rendre des comptes devant cette commission, devant les élus, et j'espère que la plateforme sera sanctionnée rapidement et prochainement. J'espère aussi que seront convoquées les autres plateformes en ligne qui ont vendu des produits illégaux, notamment Temu, AliExpress, mais également Amazon. Sur le fond du sujet, vous allez être surpris, je vais prendre la défense de la Commission européenne. Parce que concernant la lenteur des sanctions prévues par le DSA, c'est un peu facile d'accuser la Commission européenne, alors que la Commission européenne, elle ne fait qu'appliquer ce que nous avons négocié et voté. On aurait pu prévoir un mécanisme de sanctions plus rapide et plus dissuasif. C'était notre rôle en tant que législateur, que co-législateur. Nous n'avons certes pas été aidés par le Conseil, c'est sûr, mais il faut rappeler que cela a été refusé à l'époque par les groupes majoritaires, par le PPE, par le SND et par Renew. Nous aurions pu avoir une majorité pour avoir des sanctions plus rapides et plus dissuasives. Mais ça n'a pas été le cas. Donc je pense que nous avons notre responsabilité en tant que Parlement européen et qu'il faut faire preuve d'un peu d'humilité. Et je dis cela concernant les sanctions, mais pas uniquement, car la faiblesse du DSA, elle s'illustre aussi concernant la responsabilité des plateformes numériques sur les produits présents sur leur place de marché. En ce moment, on est en train de négocier en trilogue la réforme du Code des douanes de l'Union européenne et le mandat du Parlement européen, c'était de faire des plateformes en ligne des importateurs présumés. Et ce principe rendait responsables les plateformes des produits présents sur leur place de marché. Et malheureusement, nous n'avons pas pu défendre cette idée jusqu'au bout, car l'article 8 du DSA l'interdit. Il interdit toute obligation générale de surveillance pour les plateformes. Alors, on a trouvé une solution alternative avec le statut de trust and check. Bon, c'est pas tout à fait la même chose, mais heureusement pour nous, maintenant la Commission européenne doit réexaminer le DSA en 2027 et c'est l'occasion de combler les trous dans la raquette. Alors, mes deux questions à la Commission européenne. Comptez-vous proposer de modifier les sanctions pour les appliquer plus rapidement et pas après de multiples procédures? Deuxième question, comptez-vous réviser l'article 8 pour rendre responsables les plateformes de vente en ligne des produits présents sur leur place de marché? Merci.
Merci beaucoup. For EPP, Dirk Rotnik.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you for Shein to be there. Well, you know, in this committee, I think we all feel a bit the same way about these platforms. Europe, everyone knows Tom and Jerry. Europe is Tom, and Jerry are the platforms, and the platforms always get away with it. Yeah, they always win. because, like my previous speaker and also said, and we see it now in the customs reform, the legislation is simply was never made with e-commerce in mind. It was made with YouTube videos in mind, with posts on Facebook, but not with actual packages. And you know what? The impact of packages on our economies and on our societies is way different from videos or online content. It is not the same, but we treat it the same in our legislation. And I think that is one of the main problems we're dealing with now. But Shein, you speak of compliance, and I find it quite funny because every time we actually have a look at the compliance and at your products, we find too many chemicals. We find labeling problems. We find all kinds of issues that create huge problems in our second-hand clothing sectors, for example. Your clothes are being resold on Vinted, for example, and there are huge margins being earned with your clothing. You're undermining, basically, the market of textiles in the entire European Union. For me, it is clear there is a systemic problem in your business model and not only an incidental one. So let me just ask you a concrete question. How many new products emerge on your platform every day? And what do you do exactly before a product emerges, is allowed to be presented on your platform? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. For SND, Maria Grapini.
Mulțumesc, voi vorbi în limba română, pentru că e un subiect complicat. Mulțumesc Comisiei pentru explicație, mulțumesc și Shein că este aici. Vreau să o asigur că noi, Comisia IMCO, suntem imparțiali. Nu criticăm doar platforma Shein, criticăm toate platformele, și Amazon, și Temo, și tot ce este legat. Prezentarea dumneavoastră însă a arătat că nu aveți nicio fisură, totul este perfect. Eu am lucrat în domeniul textil și pentru că colegul meu vorbea mai înainte de textile, știu foarte clar că textiliștii din Uniunea Europeană au o mare problemă. Noi avem RICI, noi trebuie să punem conținutul de substanțe cancerigene, de la chimicale, vopsitorie, absolut la tot, și evident că este un cost, pentru că și analizele în sine costă, dar și substanțele care sunt superioare, materialele care le folosim sunt superioare. Eu am vizitat de mai multe ori China și când eram întreprinzător și ca președinte de patronat și ca ministru. Faceți lucruri foarte bune în China, nimeni nu spune. Problema este ce vindeți pe aceste platforme, ce vindeți pe această platformă. Pentru că de foarte multe ori vindeți iluzii. Sunt profitați și de cumpărătorii cu mai puține venituri, care doresc să cumpere mai ieftin, dar responsabilitatea dumneavoastră este foarte clară în documentele noastre, să respectați ceea ce noi reglementăm pe piața noastră a Uniunii Europene. Atunci este o competiție corectă, atunci este o competiție și de protecția consumatorului, evident, și dacă dumneavoastră ați spus că faceți acte de binefacere pentru artiști, pentru designer, este foarte bine, este o politică de marketing și eu am făcut-o când eram în business. Asta nu înseamnă că trebuie să puneți produse necontrolate. Și întrebarea mea este, pentru că pe mine m-a frapat prezentarea, ca și cum totul este perfect. Chiar nu puteți să ne spuneți ce veți face ca să vă conformați, ce ați făcut în cazurile în care au fost reclamații legate de produsele noastre, pentru că altfel